Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Recovery from Relapse meeting of Overeaters Anonymous. My name is Rita Q, and today it is Tuesday, the 7th of October, 2025. And I'm absolutely delighted today to welcome the very lovely Terri W. Terri is from Massachusetts, I think Boston, and came to OA in 1979. She is now going to tell us her story and her experience strengthening us. Thanks, Terri. Take it away, my love.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here this morning. And for me, it's this morning. Anyhow, I'm Terri W. I'm from Massachusetts, and I am a compulsive overeater, an anorexic restrictor, and a bulimic. So before I even get going or start, I just want to mention that God is the hero of my story. If it was not for God, I would not be here today. So what I really want to talk about today is where I was, where I am today, and how I got here. I've been in this program since 1979, a really long time, and I've been through lots of struggles, lots of great things, a lot of things that were horrible, but you know what? Here I am today, and it's all because of God and because of this program and because of you. I could start off when I was young, when I was little. I can remember 3 years old, I would climb up to this little counter and eat a whole bottle of baby aspirin. And I laugh because like 4 or 5 people in this program have done the exact same thing. And I ate the whole bottle. And then I think I was 4 years old. I climbed up another shelf, and I can visualize this, remember it. And I ate a bottle of vitamins. It was like 120, 130 vitamins, and I ate the whole thing. So at a very, very young age, things were in my mouth. And as I got a little older, I started eating my toys, which is not normal for a child. For us that are a little older, I had a little toy that was called Gumby. It was Gumby and Pokey, and it was a little plastic figure. You could bend it. And I can remember I snuck in the closet and I ate the whole thing. And I came out of the closet and I had the wire because I ate all the plastic. And I'm like, Mom, look, I ate my Gumby. And I'm like, that's a little kind of strange, you know. I don't think a lot of children do that, but there was always food. And even when I was in elementary school, I remember I would take cereal and I would string it and make necklaces and wear them to school. And I thought it was so cool. And I couldn't even get to school. I ate them before I even got to school, but you know, I strung food on my neck, and it was a little crazy. But I ate massive amounts of food. My mother would go to the store and bring home 12 of those round things, and I would eat 11 of them. And I'd get punished. I just ate, ate. Always more than anybody else that I knew. And, you know, I was really active. Even when I was younger, I did the hurdles. When I was, you know, in grade school and junior high, I was a gymnast. I did that 5 or 6 times a week, and I was in competitions. So I was really, really active. So I ate all this food, but I never gained the weight. And I never thought I had an eating problem because I never gained the weight, but I just kept eating and eating and eating. And then when I was 19 years old, I contracted a disease called Guillain-Barré. That is a disease of the nervous system where your antibodies kill your own antibodies. So I went into the hospital and they said, Terri, you're going to be here from 2 days to 2 years. We have no idea. So what happened is that within a week, I lost my arms. I was paralyzed. And then another week, my legs were gone. And sometimes people, it stops at your neck, but I was 100% intubated. I couldn't breathe, move, blink, go to the bathroom. I couldn't do anything. I just laid there like, and I had they read me my rights to die twice. So it was pretty horrific, and God reached down and just like saved me because I recovered from that 100%, which is pretty remarkable. But you know, I had to learn how to write like I was 2 years old. I had to learn how to walk like I was an infant. And the pain was excruciating. But the reason I bring that up is because I was 60 pounds, and all they said is, Terri, eat, 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 eat. And I ate like a pig because I can't walk around being 60 pounds. I couldn't function. So again, I'm getting more permission to be eating. So after I got well, I started the sports, and I continued to be a bodybuilder as a professional bodybuilder, and had 4% body fat. And again, I'm still not thinking this is compulsive, you know, exercising, because I hear about other people doing it, but I was a compulsive exerciser as well. So, and again, I was in perfect shape, and I don't know what happened. I just kept eating, eating, and eating. And I don't know how it began, but I became I don't know if it's because it was a point where my grandmother died, my boyfriend broke, everything was horrific in my life. And I just kind of wanted to disappear. And I became severely anorexic. And it's an interesting disease because a lot of people don't understand it. And a lot of people know people that are anorexic and don't understand it. So it's interesting for me to talk about. It was horrific. Um, I can remember I started off where I was walking and, a mile a day. And then it ended up me walking 5 miles a day and then 6 miles every day for 5 years. I missed 2 days in 5 years. Um, I mean, I would eat 5 raisins a day. That's all I'd eat at one point. At another point, I would have 2 muffins a day. That's it. Um, and I would chew like I would say 20 to 30 packs of gum a day. That would give me some nutrition. I weighed myself 5 or 6 times every day. If I was over 82 pounds, I would not leave the house because it was so horrifically fat. I couldn't leave the house. I was so embarrassed. So my mind was so messed up, so messed up. And I covered all my windows in construction paper and my door windows so no one could see me. And I just isolated. I just would not answer the phone. People came over my house. I wouldn't answer the door. The only time I left the house was to go to the grocery store or obviously to go walking 6 miles in the morning. And what's interesting when I think about it, I grew hair on the side of my face. It was really long hair, probably because I was so malnutrition that, like animals, they grow hair. I had really long hair on the side of my face. So it was really sad. It was really, really sad. I wouldn't shower. I wouldn't open my mail. And I took massive amounts of laxatives, like massive amounts of laxatives. Um, and again, the compulsive behavior, I would touch my stove 30, 40 times a day, or I'd vacuum. I couldn't go to bed unless I vacuumed, these crazy things. And, I prayed every night before I went to bed. I wrote a note every night. And I said, God, please let me die because I'm fat. God, please let me die. I'm fat. And I still have those notes, and I can't have the heart to open them, but they've been in my closet since all these years about how I want to die because I felt so fat. But, I just prayed. I just wanted to be skinny, and it was pretty embarrassing being skinny because everyone dreams of it, right? This is like the life goal, but it's not. It was horrific. I can remember I got a job as a waitress and I had to buy shorts and get the little outfit. And I went to the junior department so I could get something that fit. I had to go in the children's department, the infant department, to find a pair of shorts. And you can imagine, I mean, I have pictures and I just look like a stick. It was just horrible. I mean, you looked at me and my eyes were black and my heart was black. I just walked around like a zombie. And the big book, we talk about the bedevilments, and those are on page 52. Um, I had trouble with personal relationships. Yes. I couldn't control my emotion. Absolutely not. Prey to misery and depression. I couldn't make a living. No, I got fired from my job. They took everything, my car, I had nothing. I had feelings of uselessness. I was full of fear. I was unhappy, and I couldn't be helped to any other people. How could I be, right? Because I'm just in isolation, just thinking about myself. So, everyone thought I was dying. They're talking to me behind my back. She's cancer, what's wrong with her? And one other interesting thing I'll bring up about anorexia is we steal. I was stealing things from stores. I was stealing clothes. I was stealing everything. And what happened was I got caught and I had to go to court, and I did a research, lots of research on stealing and anorexics, and a very high percentage of anorexics steal. And it's interesting because if you talk to an anorexic, they're like, oh yeah, I stole a lot. I stole a lot. But I went to court and I said, I'm anorexic. I want to be an attorney. This can't happen to me. And she's like, okay, well, you better take care of yourself. But the reason we steal is because when we get so underweight like that, our electrolytes are not in balance and we don't think straight. We just don't think straight. That's why if someone's anorexic and they're under 80 pounds, I won't sponsor them because they just won't understand what I'm talking about. You need, I was a mess. So God, that was the second time God took me out of that. And I started going to OA and I started getting well. And then came fast forward to the bulimia, which is the gates of hell. And I don't ever, ever, ever wish that on anyone. I didn't want to throw up. My girlfriend did. She taught me. She said, you have to throw up. And I'm like, no, I can't. I tried and I just couldn't do it. Well, she ended up stopping throwing up and I ended up throwing up 13 hours a day. I thought about food all day. I just thought about food all the time. I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, call the bakeries, get what I needed. I would shop all day, get food placed all around my house, and I'd eat $130 worth of food a day. And I would just eat it and throw it up until 3 in the morning. And then I have a dumpster out where I lived, and I would put Windex and Clorox on it so I wouldn't eat it. And I climbed right into the dumpster and eat it with the Clorox and Windex on it. I didn't care. I just didn't care. And I would get a sheet cake every single night and a happy birthday, Terri on. It wasn't my birthday or anything, but I would eat massive amounts of food. And what's really sad, and we laugh, I can laugh about it today, but my car broke down. What do you do when you have to eat? You have to eat. I had to eat. I rented a U-Haul truck that moved a family of 8 across the country so I can go buy donuts, right? It's insane. It's insane the behaviors we do in this disease. Yeah, it was just horrible. I would have panic attacks if I was not eating. So my plan was I would shop all day and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, exactly, I would start eating. And if I wasn't, I'd have a serious panic attack. And I would throw up places that are disgusting. I can't even and I would have throw up all over my clothes because I would throw up in bathrooms of restaurants. And I go to the dry cleaner going, oh yeah, my little baby, just don't mind the throw up. She's a newborn and I don't have any children, right? But you know what? The point is between both of these, food controlled me and I couldn't stop. I no longer had any control of a wet one in my mouth. I didn't have any control or any decision. So what I call it is food went in my mouth without my permission. And that is really what scared me. In the big book, it says liquor ceased to be a luxury. I mean, it became a necessity, and on page 8 in the big book, they talk about how loneliness and the despair with quicksand stretch out all around me. I was drowning. I was just wasting away, whether I died from bulimia, anorexia, or the Guillain-Barré. And I can remember my mother tried so hard to help me. And the only time I'd have anything to do with her is if she went on a 6-mile walk with me. But as I said, food controlled me. And that is what wanted me to get well, because I was horrified. And I tried to get into treatment centers all over the United States, but I had no job. They took my car. I had nothing. I was being evicted from my house. Everything I had was gone. And I said, can't I please, don't they have funds for people like me that are gonna die? What do you mean? I didn't have insurance, so no one would take me. So I did want to say that I did get into a very famous treatment center through somebody who knew somebody. And I said, I'm gonna die. God's like, Terri, just go to the treatment center. And I walked in and they took my blood, took my clothes off, weighed me. I was there 10 minutes because I had to be rushed to the emergency room because I was going to die of a heart attack. So I was too sick to be in a treatment center. I mean, can you even imagine? So then it was my sister said, let's go to OA meeting. And I went to an OA meeting with her. I'm like, no one here is anything like me. And I was like little pencil, right? I mean, no one's here is like me. Then I went to a second meeting and I cried. I went to a third meeting and I cried. Fourth, and I cried. And then the fifth one, it was 4 o'clock when I was supposed to be throwing up. And I had a panic attack. And I can literally remember taking a Post-it and writing, I'm having a panic attack. And I gave it to the woman sitting in front of me going, I'm having a panic attack. Can you hold my hand? Because I was willing, and that's the only thing and that's all you really need is willingness. And I just want to read really quick in the 12 and 12, if that's okay, if it's approved literature. Step 3 is like opening the door, which to all appearances is still closed and locked. All we need is a key and the decision to swing the door open. There's only one key, and that's willingness. And for some reason, God had taken me there. I had no other place to go. And you know what? Someone grabbed my hand and she said, you know what? You're going to do what I tell you to do, and I'm going to be your sponsor. And I just shut my mouth and I just said, I'm willing to do. And the first meal I ever ate was the most horrifying thing in my life. I had 2 eggs, a banana, and a wheat germ. It took me an hour and a half to eat it. And it was Christmas morning. And it was the most horrifying thing to eat for an anorexic. Petrified to eat that. But God sat beside me and held my hand and I ate it. And, my sponsor was really tough. She says, I was in college and I had a class on Tuesday. She's like, you have a meeting on Tuesday. You're not going to that college class. But yeah, I was told by my elders, don't travel when you're new in program. And of course, I didn't listen. I was in a master's program and I moved to Belgium and I lived there for 2 years. I took all my literature, I took my books, I took my phone numbers, and I was all ready to be so abstinent. And then you know what? I would make the calls and they were in French. And the meetings were not in English, they were in French and Flemish. So I was like, oh goodness. So anyway, as you know, I started eating and my first words, how much was that third chocolate on the second shelf? Everything was food related. And, but I'll tell you why I ate, because I know why I ate. I have this disease. I have this mental obsession and allergy of the body because my dad was in prison and he died when I was 9. My mother hated me. She told me, don't go to school, go to college, no one's going to take you. I was molested. I got punished when anything could happen to me. That's why I ate. I can tell you that. But that's not really why I was eating. It's because all human beings have emotions, right? We have happiness, anger, grief, jealousy, shame. And because we're human beings, that builds up. Some people go to the gym or go for a walk or let that out. But for me, I grab the food and I get that effect, that wow, that high, but it only lasts like 7 seconds, right? So that is why I grab the food. It gives me that effect. And that effect is giving me the allergy and the mental obsession, just putting that in my mouth, and it's a cycle. But yeah, it doesn't last long. And I just was like a cycle, like walk down the street and there's a hole and fall in it. Walk down the street, there's a hole and fall in it. Why don't I walk around it? But you know what? Food is not my problem. It's a solution. So the problem is that I have an allergy to the body and a mental obsession. It's not because my father died. It's not because my mother hates me. There's no circumstances that is the reason for this disease. But you know what? I studied the doctor's opinion and it saved my world. It saved my life. I mean, I can talk about the doctor's opinion for like hours. First of all, I have an allergy. I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb, and I'm not a loser. Wow. That was the most miraculous thing I've ever heard in my life, because I thought I was an idiot, stupid, dumb. I'm not. I'm not a loser. I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I have an allergy and a mental obsession. The second thing was like, I don't have to believe in God. Wow. I mean, I grew up with a beautiful God and I do believe in God, but I don't have to believe in anything as long as it's bigger than me. So I'm just wired differently than people that I know. I mean, my friend will put something in her mouth that's sweet, has sugar and flour, which I cannot eat, and she goes about her day. Me? Even today, if I put one piece of flour in my mouth, I'll be gone. So I haven't eaten flour and sugar, and I can't tell you how many years, because I know I get an allergic reaction to that and a mental obsession. So as I said, the doctor's opinion changed my world. And on XXVII, it says, in this statement, he confirms what he who has suffered alcohol torture must believe: the body of an alcoholic is quite as normal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or we were outright mental defectives. And again, in the doctor's opinion on XXVII, we believe, and so suggest a few years, that the action of an alcoholic on these chronic alcohol, sorry, let me rephrase that. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomena of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. In nearly all these cases, their ideals must be grounded but in a power greater than themselves if they are to create their lives. Wow. You know, this book, I tell people this book is not a storybook. It's an instruction manual. And it saved my life.
10
It
minutes.
saved my world. I'm sorry, how many minutes?
10 minutes left.
Oh, thank you. So, I studied the 12 steps, and it was so weird that they have principles attached to them. The first one is honesty. Second one is hope. Third one is faith, courage. Fifth one is integrity. Step 6 is willingness. 7, humility. 8, brotherly love. 9, justice. 10, perseverance. 11, spirituality. And 12, service. So it's interesting. My entire life, all I want to do is just eat food to fill that empty hole in my heart. And that's all I did I was so empty, so lonely. And you know what? After studying these 12 steps, it was miraculously like I have a life today. It's a miracle I have a life today. If you look at, I had Guillain-Barré, had my life, my rights read to me to die twice. I was anorexic, like 70 something pounds. I was bulimic. And I almost choked and killed myself throwing up several times. And because of the bulimia today, I have no teeth. On my right side, I have none, and I have none on my bottom left. I can't digest food. I lost my period. I could never have children. So we think about these things. Oh, being anorexic, this happens, and there's no consequences of being bulimic. Well, yeah, there's tons of consequences, and and it's really kind of sad. But you know what? Today, what I do is, I have any resentments or anything that's blocking me from God in any way at all, I do a 10th step or I call somebody, because you know why? Resentments block me from God. I have from my heart this vein that I call it that, from my heart to God. Anything blocking that, any resentments, fear, anger, jealousy, I have to get rid of that. I can't be blocked from God, from the sunlight of the Spirit. So it's really important that I practice my all the things that I do. I get up in the morning, I meditate, I have sponsors, I sponsor. It's a lot of work. But you know what? I wouldn't be here without it, and I wouldn't have this joy. And one of the greatest things is I talked to someone, she was crying on a meeting the other day, so I called her immediately. A girlfriend of mine, I haven't talked to in a while, and she said, Terri, do you remember 15 years ago we talked about our dream of getting our doctorate degree? She said, yeah. I said, yeah, I sure do. She goes, I'm graduating in 2 weeks. And we are in the exact same doctoral program, the exact same one. And I'm graduating. I have another year and a half. But I couldn't have that if I was in the food. I got married 5 years ago. I never would have had that if I was in the food. My eyes are blue today, right? What a beautiful life I have. I can wake up and be grateful. When I first came into program, we didn't talk about the big book. Back then it was like taboo. And we had the tools. And I studied the tools, and that's how I first became abstinent. But it wasn't until I studied the 12 steps that I became recovered. And being recovered, a lot of people ask what that means. It means the thought of food has been taken away from me. I don't think about it at all. I've had a spiritual experience, and I just live my life in steps 10, 11, and 12 into service. And think about other people, not myself. That's a miracle. It's a miracle. So today I can wake up and look in the mirror and just thank God for all the beautiful things I have, for all those search and rescues, and I'm having some other health issues right now that I'm having a hard time with. But God has a plan, you know what? And He's gotten me this far. And you know what? What I'm here for is to help other people. That's why I'm here, is to help you. To help people that are still suffering. You know why? Because that's why I'm here. I have been through hell, as all of you have, I'm sure, whether it be anorexia, bulimia, overeating, whatever the case may be, we're all the same. People say, well, what does anorexia have anything to do with compulsive overeating? I'm like, it's the exact same thing, because if I restrict, I get that effect, just as someone puts the food in their mouth. I get that same high from restricting. So we're all the same. And, you know, I'm just really grateful. And this program has saved my life. And if you're new, please just keep coming. You know what? Because it just takes willingness. That's all it takes, is being willing to let go and let God. And that's all I have for today. So I really, really thank you for letting me be here. God bless you all.
Oh, Terry, thank you so much. What an amazing message of depth and weight. And I'm just going to read a wee bit out of the big book to finish it off. Page 98 in Working with Others, it says, he clamours for this or that, claiming he cannot master alcohol or food until his material needs are cared for. Nonsense. Some of us taken very hard knocks to learn this truth. Job or no job, wife or no wife, we simply do not stop drinking so long as we place dependence upon other people ahead of dependence on God. Burn the idea into the consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. The only condition is that he trust in God and clean house. And we'll stop it there.